If you'd asked Hellbilly Walker how he started each miserable morning, the outlaw would have told you straight. It took 2 fingers' worth of rotgut, a fresh bullet loaded snug in the shotgun chamber, and the reassurance that reality wasn't completely unfurled into eldritch madness yet. Today it took 3 fingers. It was going to be that kind of sunrise. The dawn broke like a busted skull, all bruised purple and screaming crimson as Hellbilly rode Lazarus, his necrotic stallion whose footsteps sizzled and shrieked into scorched earth toward the speck of nothing town known as Perdition Gulch. Strapped behind him, old No-Limbs squirmed irritably. The limbless gunslinger spat tobacco juice onto sizzling sand. "Next time you tie me wrong ways again, Billy, I swear I'll make Lazarus a widowmaker twice over." Hellbilly chuckled dryly, sparking up a cigarette against his stubble-rough jaw. "Promises? Promises." The gulch awaited. More corpse than town, all boarded-up saloons and leaning grave markers. Shadows played long beneath a rusted gallows swinging empty nooses dancing in the breezeless heat. The hanging rope creaked like rocking chairs on a porch from hell, announcing their arrival. Perdition Gulch had no reason left to exist, yet here she stood, defiant and poisoned by some eldritch malice, stubborn as a rattlesnake under boot heel. "Where'd the bounty say to start?" drawled old No-Limbs from his makeshift saddle perch. "Barkeep called Dead-Eye Bill," grunted Hellbilly. "Problem is, bounty says Bill's been decomposing near on 6 years now." "You think he appreciates folks pointing out his looks?" old No-Limbs laughed. "Fella might be sensitive. Let's humor him." The Gut Bucket Saloon sat crooked and festering at the heart of town. Swinging doors groaned open to a saloon thick with rot and flies whispering their hateful secrets. There stood a shadow, Dead-Eye Bill, half his face a ruin of bone exposed in a permanent grin, a dirt-filled eye socket that bore worms wriggling through like twitchy, slimy tears. Bill polished a grimy whiskey glass, looking up through that empty, dark hole. "Don't recall inviting y'all gents," Raft Bill voiced the rustle of coffin silk. "Invitation must have gotten lost in hell," Hellbilly drawled casually, stepping in. Lazarus snorted demonic impatience outside, hellhooves scorching claw-shaped prints. "Word says troubling things about your clientele lately, Deadeye." Bill chuckled, a dry wheeze. "Well, boys, reckon the townsfolk stays long as they want, or long as the mother beneath Perdition Gulch allows." He nodded down to the warped floorboard stretching oddly like swollen graves in a rainstorm. Creak, shift, crack. The wooden boards split in fleshy spasms, gnarled hands desperately clawing upward, heads pushed forth, bloody caricatures of townsfolk with unfocused milky eyes, dead mouths gasping for a breath they no longer needed. "Oh, lovely," said old No-Limbs through gritted teeth. Gun clenched, ready. "Guess we found Mother's little darlings." Hellbilly blew smoke rings through another resigned sigh and hoisted his shotgun. "Let's educate these poor souls about staying buried." Action exploded through the saloon. Broken chairs, flying bullets, and shotgun shells pumping thunderous judgment through undead flesh. Hellbilly spun, coattails flying, weapon roaring, heads shattered like grotesque pottery, bodies collapsing again into squirming entropy. Behind him, atop Lazarus, old No-Limbs swiveling, flipping airborne even without limbs, a tooth-held revolver yapping rapid-fire salvation into moaning jaws. "I gotta tell you," old No-Limbs spat between frantic reloads, "this dating scene ain't what it used to be." The undead patrons fell quickly, but the saloon itself shuddered, walls splitting leprous flesh, bleeding black ichor. The floor caved as something colossal writhed upward from below town. Hellbilly and Old No Limbs stumbled out into dusty sunlight just as the roof ruptured and shattered, birthing a massive creature. "Ah, hell," Hellbilly muttered. It stood 30 feet tall, a writhing mound of petrified wood, bloody bodies, and bundled shards of glass. A ghastly idol born of nightmares. Snaking roots flailed, impaled undead twitching still atop it, moaning pitifully as the thing's eyes, two screaming skulls at the center, locked crestfallen onto Hellbilly. "You defile my nest, worthless mortal," roared Mother Perdition, voice cracking like bone. "You walk this world wielding borrowed curses and dare dishonor sacred death." "Always making new friends," grunted Old No Limbs. He winced. "So, what's the clever plan?" "Plan?" Hellbilly leveled his shotgun defiantly. "Decide later. Shoot first." Mother Perdition lunged, lashing tendrils as jagged as railroad spikes. Hellbilly sidestepped, firing blasts of molten silver, each round tearing chunks free, spraying black pus. Old No Limbs spun wildly, using Lazarus hellfire speed to dodge roots and bark spines, revolver barking insanity into twisted flesh. Then the creature snagged Hellbilly, coiling vines around him, tighter than tomb wrappings, and lifting him high above cracked roofs. Hellbilly dropped his empty weapon, struggling and reaching desperately for his bandolier. It was hopelessly beyond grip now. "You die first, mortal plague," Mother hissed lovingly, "thrown screaming into oblivion." "Billy!" cried Old No Limbs. Lazarus thundered toward the abomination. But Hellbilly had other ideas. Bound tight, suspended in midair 50 feet up, he grimly clenched teeth around his burning cigarette and spat glowing embers toward the snarling creature. "Oblivion," Hellbilly grinned defiantly, "is allergic to handsome." Embers ignited the dynamite bundle on his belt. Fire roared instantly, detonating catastrophically. Hellbilly flew free, propelled backwards through a window before tumbling onto ragged dirt, coughing laughter through wreckage. Mother Perdition screamed, entire upper body splintered away, its eldritch form blown apart into raining viscera. Old No Limbs laughed hysterically. "Never underestimate a cowboy too stubborn to explode." The dust settled on Ruin, Hellbilly standing slowly. Dynamite singe marking his face, he casually lit another smoke from one smoldering boot heel. Lazarus snorted flames, impatient to hit the road once more. "Ah, so," Old No Limbs chuckled. "Usual morning, eh, Billy?" "Yeah," Hellbilly drawled quietly, "though reckon that's enough redecorating for this town." They mounted Lazarus, riding slow from Perdition Gulch's burning carcass. Hell itself had spat them out, rejected them into yet another sideways apocalypse, and if fate wanted them dead, well, fate was welcome to come and try again tomorrow.